Assalamu alaikum dear students. Now I am going to discuss another topic in economics, that is price elasticity of demand. Until now we have studied about the law of demand that shows there is an inverse relationship between the price and quantity demand, as we know that whenever price changes, quantity demand changes in opposite way by changes in prices. But how much quantity, for example, if we say that whenever the price of product increases, its quantity demand decreases, but how much decreases, that we can measure with the help of price elasticity of demand. What does price elasticity of demand tells us? It measures the responsiveness of quantity demand due to change in price. You can see it by formula: percentage change in quantity demand due to percentage change in price. Price elasticity of demand, if we further simplify the formula, percentage del, as we know that delta shows the change in the quantity divided by percentage change in price. How we measure that percentage change? We know that percentage change is equal to difference between two number divided by original number or initial number multiplied by 100. We can further simplify. We can measure here changes in quantities divided by initial quantity over change in price divided by initial price multiplied by 100. We have cancelled the both, and when we convert them from divide to multiply, it will change its side. Price, initial price becomes the numerator, and a change in price becomes the denominator. And we can further simplify the formula by taking one side the change in quantity as well as change in price, and taking on other side initial price and initial quantity. We can further we can say that when PED becomes greater than 1, what does it mean? That if you remember that there always be a negative number whenever you calculate the price elasticity of demand. Why? Because there is an inverse relationship between the price and quantity demand. So you should ignore that a negative number. You should focus only upon the whether it is greater than 1 or it is less than 1. By what is less than 1 doesn't mean that if number is equal to -1, -2, that is less than, that is greater than 1, you consider it, because you have to ignore the negative number. If number becomes 0 point something, 0.99, 0.9, 0 point whatever, so then it is said to be less than 1. If PED is greater than 1, then it is said to be relatively elastic, meaning that a smaller change in prices will bring the price will bring a larger changes in proportionally larger changes in quantity demand, meaning that demand is more responsive to change in price. For example, if price increased by 20%, quantity demand decreases by 30% or 40%, then it is said to be elastic demand. Here you can see that a smaller change in price will bring a larger change in quantity demand. Our demand curve will be flatter, look like that is elastic. That shows the elastic demand. Another we have when the same thing, when the value of PED becomes less than 1, mean that then demand is said to be inelastic, mean that quantity demand is less responsive to change in the price. For example, you can say that if price increases by 20%, quantity demand reduces but only by 10% or 5%, mean that quantity demand is less responsive to change in the price. Here you can see it on diagram. Whenever price decreases from P1 to P0, quantity demand only increases by the Q1 to Q2. A very large change in price will bring a very small changes in the quantity demand. Another case we have when PED becomes equal to 0, then demand is said to be unitary elastic. What does unitary elastic mean? That uh, percentage change in quantity demand bring equal proportional changes in the quantity. Percentage change in price will bring equal or proportional changes in the percentage change in quantity demand. Mean that if price increases by 20%, quantity demand decreases by the 20%, mean that there is equal changes occurs in the price as well as in the quantity demand. So then it is said to be unitary elastic. So, and remember that when demand is relatively inelastic, our curves will be steeper, and when demand is relatively elastic, our curve will be more flatter, and when it is becomes unitary elastic, it looks like that. Another two extreme cases we have in elasticity of demand, that is when PED becomes equal to zero, then it is said to be perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic, we mean that demand is totally irresponsive to change in price, no matter whatever the price is. Price may be P1, P2, P3, P4, whatever the price is. Consumers still buy the quantity that he need. That is a very extreme case. That may be a case of drugs, life-saving drugs, etc. Another case, we have a case of perfectly extreme case, that is when PED becomes equal to infinity. That is said to be perfectly elastic demand. What does perfectly elastic demand? When we define it, we can say that extreme changes in price, a very minor changes in price will bring immeasurable changes in the quantity demand, will bring huge changes in quantity demand. Then it is said to be perfectly elastic demand. That is a very rare case. It may be a case of perfect substitutes. So that is all about its curves will look horizontal like that. So that is all about the price elasticity of demand. In next video I will solve some questions of price elasticity of demand as well. If you have any question, any query, you can ask me. Thank you. Hopefully you can understand it in a better way now.